So the turkey is on the counter, the gifts are wrapped, Santa's confirmed for arrival at just after the kids fall asleep. We've got 4, 6, how many coming for tomorrow? We have all the air mattresses blown up for the kids in the living room. The kids' pajamas are on their beds. Where are the extra batteries? Is the hustle and bustle over yet? Look, even if you're in lockdown, even if you have limited access to anyone else, there's still hustle and bustle right now. There's a lot going on, a lot to get prepared for, especially if you've got family, especially if there are children in your household. If this is the feeling you have at the end of the preparations of your Christmas celebrations, you're not that far off of the real Christmas event. I know we often get a false sense with these gentle readings and the way we just read Christmas passages of the Bible, those sweet songs we sing. Not just from the hymn book, but others we sing this time of year. Oh, let there be peace on earth. So this is Christmas. Oh, they all have such a great soothing tone, don't they? But let's look at what's going on that first Christmas night. The night we celebrate, and Christians have celebrated for nearly 2,000 years. The name Christmas has been archaeologically identified. It's been found in archaeological finds. It has been used by Christians for well over 1,000 years. Christmas is one of the great feast days on the calendars of holidays going back for, as far as we know, more than 1,500 years. But you know, it's likely that Jesus never even celebrated his own birthday. It wasn't a common practice among Jews. They weren't known for throwing the birthday parties. There were other things you celebrated in the calendar year. But in case if anyone tells you that you're stressing about getting all the things that need to get done in order to have a Merry Christmas, I hope you can tell them that going and coming and just generally being excited about all this and maybe a little stressed has always been a part of Christmas. Let's take a look at what the Bible tells us about that first Christmas night, the night of Jesus' birth. Now, even to get the scene right, you've got 2 very weary travelers, one lady especially, that had been walking for miles. Though many of the pictures show it, there is nothing to say that they had a donkey with them. That it's very possible Mary had walked one of the 160 kilometers from their hometown of Nazareth to Galilee and Bethlehem. Now, Joseph, being a good husband and not wanting to dismiss her quietly, might have also not wanted her to walk all that way, and there was Mary and the donkey. In the rush today, but on foot, 160 kilometers, it could be done in a couple of days, pretty well straight walking, certainly within a week, and especially on those sturdy Roman roads. But what a hike to be making during the final trimester of pregnancy. Mary must have been strongly motivated, or the Romans must have been very fearful to force Joseph and Mary to make such a journey. In any case, putting the pieces together of that first Christmas night was really something. Mary, this is her first pregnancy. And the events of this first delivery had to coincide with the declaration that had not been made at that time, but would come to be made for the world to be taxed, just so that nobody was missed. And then, for Mary and Joseph, in order to fulfill that tax, they had to go from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Perhaps the angel choir of heaven needed practice. They were only told about the birth of God's own Son at the time he was conceived, so they only had 9 months to get the songs worthy of the birth of God's only Son ready in that time. No pressure, I'm sure, but there must have been clamor among the angels. And then back to Mary and Joseph, making their way to Jerusalem along with half the countryside shifting where they were, with Romans stomping all over the place. That could not have been too easy. Angels tuning up their harps in heaven, and no, what must have, maybe we've forgotten, there's those shepherds. Was this before the shearing, or during the shearing, or after the shearing, out in the fields with their sheep, up on the hillsides of Bethlehem? Well, they were easy. They're a surly bunch who usually stayed in that place. Better make sure that they hurry, though, once they get the news. They really should be practicing their singing if they're going to be praising God and telling people all they'd seen. That about cover it? Wait. In all of this, off in some far-off country, there's a star up there. We might have seen the same astronomical event this year. The star. Who's got the star? Where's the star go? Star goes up, doesn't it? Star goes... The star needs to be up in the sky. Now, where do we put the star? Up in front, or angle it slightly behind? Or does it hover over? Or is it going to move into alignment? How do we get that star to... You think you got it rough with your Christmas tree. We're just trying to align the stars here for this event. All right, last angel out of heaven brings the star with them. And then we also need to get a jealous and spiteful king in place in Jerusalem, the villain in this particular event, and put all the soldiers of that particular king on the move. Christmas is a busy time of year, isn't it? I know some of you are feeling like you've missed something about Christmas by being so busy with the preparations, getting this or another thing ready, running all over the place, trying to spend time with family, with friends as you could, trying to get the errands done that could be done, putting on the masks, doing all the extra things we have to do this year in order to do anything. And I want to assure you that in your busyness, you haven't missed the point. Maybe you put yourself right in the right place to catch a big part of the point. See, it was a busy time when Jesus was born. We might sing songs about silent nights or mention that Bethlehem was lying so stilly. But a lot of preparation, eons of preparation, had gone into making that the night of nights. When Christ was born, when the prophecies were fulfilled, when angels sang and shepherds shouted, and where kings in the distance saw in the distance the heavily gilded path that they would be following. So good for you if you were busy this Christmas. I hope you stay busy and bustling as we enter into what is for us another year. God's going to be busy in your life. I pray God is already inspiring where you're taking this. I can feel it. Let's be busy in God's life too. Come, the work of making Christmas a celebration of Christ's birth should inspire us to make Christ's life our life through the year. Something we live and are engaged with. Not something that waits for a day and then is gone and we put our feet up. Let's give and share both the work and the labor of such a wonderful day. In all its hope, in all its joy, let's offer it up in the assurance that on this night of nights, as we celebrate Christ being born, that Christ is born new in us, that God is praised, and that inspires the praise that is in all of our lives. And so we will praise him with our gifts. We shall love him with our labors for one another as we bless and care for our neighbor. And at the end of the day, as we slump into a chair, exhausted from what all we have done, let's make this a meaningful celebration, a day, a night, a season, not just to remember, but to inspire. And then, perhaps, we won't have missed the Christmas spirit.